They thought she'd stay silent. That Dakota Johnson would play the Hollywood game. Smile for the cameras, nod politely at press junkets, and recite the same lines approved by agents and PR reps, but then, she didn't. In a moment that instantly went viral, Dakota Johnson dropped a bombshell about Hollywood's obsession with remakes, calling it out as completely insane and driven by zero common sense. And when she said it, the entire industry froze. Was she finally confirming what everyone's whispered behind closed doors? That Hollywood is broken, and the people in charge don't even care. Before we dive into what Dakota really exposed, and the shocking aftermath that insiders are now leaking, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because what you're about to hear goes way deeper than a single quote. This is about power, money, manipulation, and the decay of an industry that once defined global culture. It all started during a casual interview. Dakota, fresh off a new indie project, was asked about the current trend of remakes and reboots in Hollywood. You know the ones, recycling 90s sitcoms, rebooting beloved classics, and greenlighting unnecessary sequels to films that didn't need them. At first, she gave the usual diplomatic response, well, there's always a market for nostalgia. But then, something shifted. Her expression darkened, and in the kind of rare moment you never see from A-list celebrities, Dakota let it rip. It's like nobody's thinking anymore, she said. They remake films that don't need remaking. Great stories are ignored because they're not brand safe. It's all algorithms. It's all fear. It's completely insane. In an industry where actors are trained to be media-friendly and controversy-averse, Dakota Johnson's unfiltered honesty hit like a lightning bolt. But why now? Why her? To understand that, we have to rewind a bit, because Dakota's relationship with Hollywood has always been complicated. The daughter of Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson, and the granddaughter of Tippi Hedren, Dakota was born into the industry. She was raised among legends and groomed to succeed. But behind the glamorous premieres and Vogue covers was a deeper frustration she never fully voiced. Until now, people often forget, Dakota was launched into superstardom through 50 Shades of Grey, a franchise that became both her breakout and her burden. While the series was a massive financial success, insiders say Dakota clashed repeatedly with studio execs over the direction of the films. Creative control was stripped from the director. Edits were made without consent. And throughout it all, Dakota was expected to smile and promote it. One close source described the atmosphere on set as tense and tightly controlled. Dakota, meanwhile, was quietly watching and learning. Learning how decisions were made not by storytellers, but by marketing teams. Not by vision, but by data. And now, years later, she's finally speaking out. Here's where it gets even more intense. After Dakota's remake comments went viral, several anonymous producers reportedly reached out to major outlets behind the scenes, calling her ungrateful, out of touch, and even dangerous. One executive allegedly warned that Dakota was risking her entire career by criticizing the system that made her. But Dakota didn't backpedal. In fact, she doubled down. In a follow-up interview, she added, "We're losing creativity. Original screenwriters can't get meetings. Studios are terrified of new voices. Everything has to be a reboot, or a sequel, or a cinematic universe. It's like they've forgotten what movies are supposed to do, which is make people feel something real." Let that sink in. Now, here's where things take a turn that even her most loyal fans didn't see coming. Dakota Johnson wasn't just talking about the problem, she was already doing something about it. Behind the scenes, she and her production company were quietly backing several original indie projects that had been rejected by every major studio. One of them, according to insiders, was a raw, brutally honest drama based on the opioid crisis, turned down by 5 major studios because it was deemed too dark and not marketable. Dakota picked it up without hesitation, and then there's the hidden layer to this story, a brewing war between 2 generations in Hollywood. On one side, the old guard, studio heads chasing IP deals, remakes, and guaranteed profits. On the other, a new wave of creators, actors like Dakota, Florence Pugh, and even Robert Pattinson, who are pushing back against the corporate sanitization of art. This isn't just about one actress going rogue. It's about an entire movement rising from beneath the polished surface of celebrity culture. By the way, stay with us, because what Dakota just signed on to next might be the boldest move of her career, and it has nothing to do with reboots or franchises. But first, here's a question to keep in mind. If someone like Dakota Johnson, with her family legacy, her fame, and her box office record, is calling the system broken, what does that say about the state of Hollywood for everyone else? Let's talk numbers for a moment. In the last 5 years, over 60% of major studio releases were either sequels, remakes, or reboots. Original screenplays? Rare. Risky. Often buried. And when Dakota called this trend insane, she wasn't exaggerating. Data shows that audiences are increasingly tuning out. Reboot fatigue is real. Viewership is declining. Trust is eroding. People are craving something authentic, something unexpected. And Dakota seems to be one of the few insiders brave enough to say it out loud, but not everyone is thrilled about her candor. Following her remarks, several prominent film critics, many of whom are tightly linked to major studios, started publishing soft takedowns of Dakota's recent projects, describing her work as too quiet, overly introspective, and off-brand. Coincidence? Maybe. But some fans believe this is a classic PR retaliation, Hollywood's subtle way of punishing those who rock the boat, yet Dakota's not slowing down. In fact, her next project is deliberately anti-Hollywood. A micro-budget psychological thriller being filmed with first-time directors in upstate New York. No glossy filters. No franchise tie-ins. Just raw storytelling, and total creative freedom. And she's not the only one. A growing list of actors are reportedly reaching out to collaborate with her. Because what Dakota just triggered may be more than a moment. It may be a movement, and just when you think the story's over, get this. A leaked internal memo from a major streaming platform, we're not naming names yet, suggests that Dakota's comments sparked panic among executives. The memo reportedly discussed reassessing greenlight strategies and reevaluating audience appetite for legacy IP. Translation? One actor spoke her truth, and shook the system hard enough to force change. That's the power of authenticity. Of refusing to play by broken rules. Dakota Johnson didn't just vent in an interview, she lit a match. And the fire's still spreading. So if you've ever felt like modern movies are losing their soul, if you've rolled your eyes at yet another unnecessary reboot, if you've wished that someone in the industry would finally say what we're all thinking, this is your moment. Because Dakota Johnson just proved that even in the heart of Hollywood, there are still voices willing to speak truth to power. And if you've made it this far, let us know in the comments. Do you agree with Dakota? Are remakes killing originality, or do you think there's still room for both nostalgia and new ideas? Your voice matters more than ever. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on that notification bell. Because we're just getting started, and the stories coming next will make you question everything you thought you knew about fame, power, and what really goes on behind the scenes in Hollywood. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and keep questioning the script.